see we're recording. I see it's 7 o'clock, so we'll begin. Let's begin by, I'm going to make just a brief statement. Good evening. The meeting is being presented live and will also be available tomorrow on the West Rock Hill website. It is important that you mute your phone while on this call. The background noise from many households could make it impossible for us to conduct an orderly meeting. If you fail to mute your phone, Greg Lippincott, our township manager, has the ability to mute it as well. If you have a public comment either during or at the end of the meeting, you can email your comment to glippincott@westroakhilltownship.org. Greg Lippincott will read the comment either at the relevant time in the meeting or during the public comment section at the end of the meeting. I asked all those participating in the meeting to state their names prior to speaking and your name and where you live, by the way. And this will make it much easier for us to record the minutes. So having said that, I will ask everyone to join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And for everyone's benefit, there was supposed to be an American flag on the screen, but it didn't make it up there.
I have one on my background. All you had to do is look at my background.
That's
in my
true.
office.
It just flashed on you, right? Okay. Public are there any public comments to do with agenda items? Greg, did you receive any?
Not for agenda items.
Okay, thank you. I'll make announcements. Executive session for legal was held on March 13th, 2020, and there will be an executive session tonight to talk about additional legal matters. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, you need to make a correction on that. It was May 13th, not March.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say March? I apologize.
You
The executive
said
session for legal
March.
was held on May 13th, 2020. Thank you, Jay.
You're welcome.
The consent agenda contains the April 15, 2020 meeting minutes, the WIN plan review status, escrow release and vouchers, emergency services report, building zoning and building permit report, public works report, conservation committee report, the treasurer's report, and payment of bills. Are there any, do either of the other supervisors have any comments or questions about the consent agenda?
Jay Kaiser, I have none.
I have none.
None? Seeing none, I will ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman, is Greg going to read the treasurer's?
I'm sorry, you're absolutely right. Yes. I forgot about that too. Okay, Greg, would you read the treasurer's report and payment of bills? I didn't have that in my notes here.
Sure. The general fund has $815,852.31. Highway aid $239,0861. Open space $1,033,650.77. The park fund $21,557.30. The equipment fund $13,140.48. Highway capital $129.15. Streetlight $32,192.84. The general fund reserve $371,295.74. Open space Vanderfield $51,178.04. Sewage maintenance $177,831.87. The stormwater fund $6,793.56. And the escrow funds $409,107.67.
Thank you. Are there any questions from the supervisors on the bills or the treasurer's report? Hearing
None
none.
from me, Jay Kaiser.
Okay.
I have none. I would make a motion to approve.
Okay. Can I get a second?
I'll second that motion.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Hearing none, the consent agenda passes. Confirmed appointments, we have none this evening. So we will move right into the Planning Commission report.
Am I up? I lost you.
I lost your picture, but we can hear you.
You can hear me?
Yeah, now you're back. Okay. You're back.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. This is Chris. Planning Commission met last Tuesday. We had 2 applicants. First was the Schlosser Farm. They came in with an informal sketch. They brought in a plan to subdivide 31 plus acre homestead on County Line Road. It's in the RA zoning. Plan has 8 lots for single family dwellings on a 950 foot long cul-de-sac entering County Line right near the existing drive to the homestead. All lots proposed to have on-site septic and public water, except for the original home lot, which will have the existing well. First item of concern was the cul-de-sac. Cul-de-sac is 150 foot longer than the SAUDO maximum allowable, which is 800 feet. SAUDO also does allow for 12 lots in a cul-de-sac. They're proposing only 8. So PC and engineering were comfortable with the additional length, provided the fire marshal was agreeable. So we'll see what the fire marshal has to say about that. They were not proposing sidewalks in the cul-de-sac. PC felt that they were needed. So what we proposed was wrap the cul-de-sac bulb and come down the southern side of the cul-de-sac lane with sidewalk, and have parking on that side as well, with no parking on the non-sidewalked area. No improvements were proposed for County Line Road on the plan. PC was willing to waive, depending on what PennDOT has to say. Small issue with plantings. They were coming up pretty short on the amount of trees that they're supposed to put on there. So Steve was going to look into the calculations on how many trees they actually need and how many they can feasibly put on the property. Last other item, major item, was lighting for the property. We're proposing to put street lamps or driveway lamps at the end of each driveway connection to the cul-de-sac lane, and then a 12-foot boulevard light at the intersection of County Line. So they were agreeable with all the things that the Planning Commission had to say. They're going to brush up the plan and come on back in at some point soon, I'm sure. That's all we have with Schlosser. You guys have any questions?
I have none. I was at your meeting, so I'm up to speed on all that.
Chris, David Collingwood, I was at the meeting as well. I have no comments and no questions at this point.
Do
Okay.
you have any,
All
Jay?
Yeah, I do. Chris, can you tell me what was the width of the roadway going back in?
28 foot.
28 foot. And you're going to allow parking on one side?
Yeah, we had discussion about that. On one side we were fine with that, and we're assuming that. I mean, these are large lots, and the houses aren't close to the lane, so there's going to be a fair amount of parking for each dwelling on the property. So we're figuring spillover parking is going to be minimal, except for maybe picnics and parties and whatnot. So we were comfortable with that, as Steve was as well.
Yeah, no, my concern would be for snow plowing. If we get any kind of decent amount, are they going to handle that on their own, homeowners association or whatever? Well,
we're assuming that this road is going to get picked up by the township at some point. Like I said, the north side of the lane will be without sidewalk. So it's not going to get pushed off to that side and not impair anything.
This is Steve. We could add that to our list of snow emergency routes. So there's no parking during a snow emergency, which we have in several of the development areas.
Okay, I have no other questions other than that right now.
Okay.
Well, then moving on, second applicant was Fresco Plastic. It's down off State Road. They're looking to build some additions, 15,840 square foot addition on their plastic building, 35,000 and change square foot addition to building number 3, and 6,265 square foot loading dock expansion on building 4. They need to do some stormwater mods and reconstruction of parking areas and access drive. They also identified a future warehouse expansion area on the plan and a reserved parking area. One of the issues they had originally had was a clarification on building height. They were assuming that they could go to a building height that was taller than what our zoning allows, because they had gotten relief for that on a different project that they never built, and zoning did not allow that to carry to this next project. So they're lowering all their building heights at 35 feet to stay within the zoning regs. They were excuse me, looking to waive shading requirements. A certain percentage of the parking area has to be shaded, and they were having difficulty getting up to that percentage due to constraints that the property presents. And we were on board with waiving that for them. Other waivers they were looking for were traffic impact study and the road improvements out on State Road at the entrance. They're saying that they're not going to have possibly 3 more trucks coming in with these additions, and maybe one.
I wonder if we lost Chris. He froze up.
Yeah, I lost him too.
Yeah. Give him a second. Looks like we lost his line.
Are you there?
Yeah, we're back.
Yeah.
You're
All right. Back. Okay.
okay.
Where was I?
Yeah, you were talking about there's only a few more trucks coming in.
Okay. It was recent. So we agreed to waive the traffic study and road improvements, but we noted that this is another project, of a handful that they've gotten the traffic study and road improvements waived. So we felt that if they do anything more, they're going to have to follow through with these items. It seems like the past few projects, it's 1 or 2 trucks or 1 or 2 employees that are adding on. So it's starting to add up, and the next one would probably warrant having these done. So they've been made aware of that. Let's see. They are proposing a temporary parking area for while construction is going on, and one of the issues with that to diminish any disturbance, they're proposing to put down a matting it's like a fiberglass or plastic mat that gets rolled out and pinned to the grass. Doesn't cause any disturbance with the grass. Let's say grass growth through. We had some questions about the longevity of that and with snow plowing and whatnot. So Steve was going to do a little research on the product and come back with what he finds out on that. Excuse me. That was pretty much everything in a nutshell. So PC voted to accept all the waivers. They did have 2 waivers that we rejected for fencing around a retention base, and we decided that we would like them to have that there, and they were agreeable. So that all being said, we are recommending conditional preliminary final on that project. Do you have any questions for me on that?
I have none.
none. Okay, David?
I have none,
Okay.
as I was.
Seeing none, can I get a motion for conditional preliminary approval?
I'll make that motion. Jay Kaiser.
Do I get a second?
David Collingwood will second.
Could I interrupt you?
Yeah, we're
Sure.
not, you're just getting the planning commission report. This isn't the review of the plan.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Okay.
I
Okay.
couldn't
Yeah,
get.
they want
my
to clean a
button
few
off
things
mute.
up, and they need to clean a few things up, and then they're going to come before the Board of Supervisors probably next month.
Oh, okay. Okay. My apologies.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I will retract my
Okay.
motion. Okay.
Right. Thank you. Okay. We're good. Okay.
I'm
Okay.
sure Fresco wouldn't have minded that, but
They wouldn't have, no.
all right. Next item.
We're losing you again, Chris.
Yeah, lost him again.
I think we-
It looks like he dropped and he's coming back on.
Yeah. He did say he was recommending conditional preliminary approval, didn't he? That's what I thought I
He
heard.
did.
Okay.
Yeah, you did.
Okay.
He said that, but then he said the next item was, and that's when he cut out.
Right.
Mhm.
I think he's back. Trying to come back.
Hello.
Yeah, you're back.
Okay. Well, I think the township needs to buy me a new computer.
I think so. You had just started your third item, Chris.
Third item was East Rock Hills comp plan.
Yes.
Planning commission members were given a copy of the draft for the comp plan for review. We looked it over. There was nothing that jumped out. Nothing that's going to affect us. Didn't look like there's any zoning changes proposed. So we're comfortable sending it to you guys. for
Okay.
review.
All right.
And last item, after your last board meeting, you had authorized Greg to advertise for the planning commission alternate member. He did that. We have one applicant so far. We're going to let it go till our next meeting. We'll make a recommendation at our next meeting.
Great.
And the last thing, Steve had brought up, we have plans that are going to need to be signed here in the near future, and we have to come up with a way to get signatures on plans. So have to think about
Right.
that process.
Greg, I don't want to get into building the process here, but we could set a table outside for a day and schedule everyone to come up and sign all the plans on the table or something like that. Rather
Yeah,
than have,
we can do that too.
yeah, or in the lobby if it's not a nice day. Anyway, we'll have to talk about that, and we'll get back to you, Chris, on how we're going to handle all that.
Okay.
Good. Okay.
All right. I don't know how long I'm going to hang out with my computer acting up, but that is my report.
Okay. David or Jay, do you have any questions for Chris?
David has no question.
I have none.
Okay.
Yep.
Can I get a motion to approve the planning commission report?
So moved, David Collingwood.
And a second?
Second, Jay Kaiser.
All in favor? Aye.
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 All right. Thank you. Park and Rec report. Dave Rice.
All right, here we go. Okay, so I guess everybody's noticing that there's a couple trees missing, getting cut down, I guess, for safety hazards, some hazards and safety concerns. So they were getting dropped, and I guess it coincides with our grant proposal that was entered by Greg, I guess, a week or two ago for the community roots to get some trees. And on the side note, besides that, the Park and Rec is also going to be working on a tree plan for the park, so we can revitalize. So if we have any, instead of fees in lieu of, we'll have trees in lieu of, where we run into issues with developers and we have extra fees or trees that we can promote and put at the park. So we're going to come up with a plan and work on that in the next week or two. By the next meeting, we're going to have something so we can kind of put that all together and present it to the board in the next month or two, so we can get that rolling. Looking at the calendar, August 15th, Movie in the Park is still technically on the agenda. We're uncertain. We're going to make a final decision in June. That is August 15th, Movie in the Park. Relatively small crowd, mostly families. They could socially distance. We'll still have to see where the guidelines are as far as PA, where we are, and kind of move forward with that. We'll make a decision, like I say, in June. September Fest. We know that is a magnitude and volume of people, and the Park and Rec did vote, and we'd like to get an approval. The Park and Rec did approve to cancel September Fest, which we're very torn. But the sheer magnitude of the amount of people, between 1,000, 2,000 people, in the course of that time frame of 5 hours, it's, I think, not going to be near approval. I mean, unfortunately, it saddens me. I mean, being on the Park and Rec for my 12th year now, it's upsetting, but it's kind of the safest thing to do. And unfortunately, I don't think it's, would pass. So we're looking for, like I say, the Park and Rec approved. We'd like to present it to the Board of Supervisors for their approval, so we can go out to the sponsors and the vendors and kind of make sure that everybody's aware with enough time, since it is only May. Gives them a couple months, so the vendors and the sponsors, we can, kind of work out all those details. The vendors, we can let them know their dates are open. And the sponsors, we can, consider if we send something out similar to the Fishing Derby to the sponsors, so we can present if they would like their fees back, or to hold off until 2021 September Fest, because that will return in 2021. On November 8th, we are still planning on holding the Veterans Memorial dedication. That's still a go. Hopefully that's going to, we have the plaque on order. That was just placed yesterday or the day before, and that is a go. They should have that back to us by October 1st, and then we should be able to get that in place by November 8th for that dedication ceremony. That is kind of what we're hoping for, that everything works out. They got all the details that they needed from the township, and we got all the things we needed from our side. So, and the funds were there, so we'll be able to pay for it from all the funds that we were able to gather from donations. So it's, again, greatly appreciated that we were able to do that with donations from the township residents and sponsors. So greatly appreciated there on that note. At the end of the meeting, I presented on behalf of the Penn Ridge Little League a guidelines plan for so we're presenting guidelines. We presented to Sellersville, we presented to Percy Burroughs, guidelines, which is in draft format. So if we can get back on a field and we're in the green, safety guidelines of where we would be and how we could play and maintain safely some baseball out there. And that was presented, and I can send it over. I mean, David was there and Greg was there. I can send that doc over, which again, I'm going to say is a draft and it is fluid, so it will change with any changes that we have with guidelines. But I can send it over to all the supervisors as well, so they can view what we have in place. And remember, those guidelines are for all of our fields, so they are in guidelines for 5 through 16. So they're at our other fields in Percy and Sellersville. So we have different guidelines. So if you see, certain things that might be for younger players, that's what it'll encompass as well. And I believe that is it.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Jay, do you have any comments?
No, I do not.
Okay, David?
Yeah, I have two. First of all, David, thank you for offering to give us those guidelines. I'll look
Sure.
forward to seeing them in hard copy. I realize they're fluid.
Yep.
As far as the September Fest is concerned, I am in favor of supporting Park and Rec and canceling it for this year.
Okay.
Yeah, I am too. I just want to make some more comments before we do some voting. I would like to say, first of all, that when this pandemic started, we had to close our entire park, and that was our March meeting. And in our April meeting, we were able to open up the walking trail, but we did say that the pavilions, the Little League fields, or all the ball fields really, and the tot lot was closed. And since then, we've had a couple issues there where people have come on, and I know, Chief, I want to thank you. You guys have been patrolling it and helping keep it up. I have had complaints from people who said they've seen some activity going on. So anyhow, we've I think it's been real good lately. Now, as far as opening them, David, I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Dave Reese, yeah. As far as opening them, I don't know if you're aware of the Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I am actually. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we are sending out. Actually, we're looking tentatively. Actually, I guess I can say we're tentatively looking for an August 1st start date. We're
Okay.
pushing the spring summer season back to an August 1st. We officially met last night. The email is going to go out to the players for an August 1st, and it's going to be an extended fall season.
Okay.
So we're not looking to start until August 1st, but we want to present to let everybody know that we're looking
Sure.
at safety priorities and, kind of get on the front line or the front side of the, guidelines and safety precautions.
That's fine. I don't know if the last time I looked, I forgot to check though. Is that yellow or green where the county is allowing you to start up again? Do you remember?
It's green.
Green. Okay. All right.
Yep.
Okay. I think everything is closed. I mean, we're the same way with the pool. Everything's closed until
Oh, yeah.
until we go green. Yeah. Okay. And even the green, that's when those guidelines will kick in. Great. Thank you.
Correct.
Okay. I don't have any other questions. Could we get a motion to approve the Park and Rec report?
Jay Kaiser, I'll make that motion.
All right. And a second? I see David talking and that's okay. I'll accept his.
I'll learn this someday.
Yeah. Accept his second. Can I have all those in favor of accepting it?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Thank you. All right. Commission reports. Chief Blake.
Good evening, everybody. The month of April 2020, there were 415 calls for service. 203 were in East Rock Hill and 212 were in West Rock Hill. We handled 11 traffic crashes, which is way down. 5 were in East Rock Hill and 6 were in West Rock Hill. 5 were reportable and 6 were non-reportable. We had 26 crimes in April that we investigated, 1 Part 1 crime and 25 Part 2 crimes. The crimes in West Rock Hill are as follows: fraud, 5 cases of criminal mischief, a weapons sale violation, drunk driving arrest, harassment, possession of heroin, 2 dog law violations, and 1 ordinance violation. In East Rock Hill, there was a theft, criminal mischief, 3 fraud cases, 2 harassment cases, 2 ordinance violations, and 4 dog law violations. The charges filed in April, 4 were arrested for a business closure order violation. 1 was arrested for indecent assault. 2 were arrested for underage drinking. 2 were arrested for possession of marijuana. 2 were arrested for confinement of dogs. There was 1 arrest for housing a dangerous dog. 2 were arrested for DUI. 1 was arrested for public drunkenness. 1 was arrested for harassment, and 4 were arrested for criminal mischief. We conducted 132 traffic enforcement details, 18 details on Old Bethlehem Pike, and we conducted 532 business checks. And Mr. Chairman, that is the police report.
All right. Thank you, Chief. Any comments about the Chief's report?
None from David.
Good work, Chief. Good work, Chief.
Thank you.
Greg, do we have any other comments from the public for the Chief's report?
No, no comments on the chief's report.
Okay, thank you. Then I will make a motion to approve the police report. Do I have a second?
I'll second it. Jay Kaiser.
Okay, Jay, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Aye.
thank you. The Joint Rec Authority, that would be me. For the Holiday House Pool, we met on May 7th. The entire meeting was about an hour and 20 minutes, and all we talked about was, can we open the pool? As of right now, the decision we made was to take it up in our June meeting, which will be the first Thursday in June, because the guidelines had not yet been fully established at that point, back at the beginning of May. The guidelines are established now. The pool cannot open, just like baseball, the pool cannot open until the county declares we're green. We don't know if that's going to happen this summer. We're still waiting to hear more. So we'll be making a decision on our the first Thursday of June meeting. And that's really all we have. We have not put water in the pool yet. We are going to do some maintenance with it over the summer. And as of right now, we are not accepting any memberships or anything because we're just giving them back if people want to turn them in. So we're very sad about that. This is our 50th year. We were really hoping to have a good celebration this summer, but I don't know that that's going to happen. So are there any questions about the Joint Rec Authority?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. The fact that the pool, let's say the pool does not open, what is the financial impact on that?
It's horrendous, really. I mean, we don't get enough money from the township and the borough to pay all the bills. Now we'll still have to pay our electric bill. We still have to pay our insurances. We still have to cut the grass. We still have a lot of maintenance to do to keep the pool itself up. So
right.
We're in for a loss this year, but I'm not sure what that amount would be yet.
All right.
We've done a basic profit and loss statement. I think that was in the packet that shows where we thought we might be, but it's not tied down yet.
All right. Thank you.
Yeah. Jay, you have anything?
Not at this time. I will say I don't know why you would open the pool if we're canceling Septemberfest. You know, people swimming are a lot closer, just about as close together as they would be at Septemberfest, I would think.
You're absolutely right,
but anyway,
Jay.
We'll see. But
at the beginning of May, we hadn't gotten any guidelines yet. We were waiting for the county and the state to come down and give us the actual guidelines. And we didn't have those in time for our May meeting. But we do have guidelines now. And honestly,
Okay.
we don't think it's going to happen, but we can't actually take a vote until our next meeting.
Sure, I understand.
The guidelines for the pools are actually more strict, I think, than they are from Little League because of the fact that you have guards and swimming lessons and safety with first aid and the bathrooms and everything else. It's just horrendous, the amount of work. You know, you have to have an entire second staff just to keep the pool area clean. You know, the railings and everything else. So anyway, it's just now just a formality, I believe, but we'll see what happens on the next meeting. Okay. Could I get a motion to approve the Joint Rec Authority report?
I would make that motion. David.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, tax collector report, Suzanne Clark.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes, you can.
Yes.
Awesome. Okay, for the month of May, Annual taxes, I've collected $41,607.40. No interims were collected for the month of May, but I did collect $517.92 for a streetlight tax. So that's the amount of taxes that I've collected. I just want to tell the public again about the change of the face date for taxes. Obviously, discount is over, but face is going to be available until July 30th. They've moved it up from June 30th to July 30th. So everybody now, if you pay your taxes, you have until July 30th to pay in face with no penalty. Penalty will start July 31st. And that was approved by the county and the township. And that's all I have.
Great, thank you. Are there any questions for the tax collector?
I have none.
Hearing none, can I get a motion to approve the tax collector report?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Engineers report, Steve Balla.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The main item under my report is the roadwork bids. I believe you have them in your packet. There were two different bids. I forget which one you had first in your packet, but we had I'll do the seal coat bid first.
Okay.
That was the oil and chip several roads in the township. We had a base bid, then we had a bid with alternates. Asphalt Maintenance Solutions was the low bidder for both options. So the base bid was $100,302, and the base bid plus the alternates would be a total of $130,647. And I believe in your packet is also the list of roads that we included, but just for everyone else's benefit, the base bid included Farmers Lane, Almont Road on the Ridge Road side, Tower Road, and Forest Road, and the alternates included Catch Basin Road between Forest and Ridge, and Old Mill Road between Bethlehem Pike and Old Bethlehem Pike.
Okay,
So Asphalt Maintenance Solutions, that's AMS. They usually get our bid. We've worked with them quite often. We have no problems with their work.
okay. Can I get can I open that up for comment?
I have no
Okay.
comment.
No?
No comment.
Nope.
No comment? Okay. Shall we put that up for a vote? Can I get a motion to approve?
Mr. Chairman, I think you got to decide whether you want to do just the base bid or the base plus the alternates.
Okay, well, a good point, and I would like to do both, the base bid and the alternate. I think we can do that this year financially, and we should just go ahead and get it done.
I apologize, Mr. Chairman. I misunderstood there, Steve. I think something he blanked out on me for a second, but I would also absolutely agree with doing the both.
Okay, all right. So the motion is to do both, and do I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
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 Okay. All right.
Okay, and then the second bid was for overlay paving of streets. Again, you had the summary in your packets.
Right.
The low bidder was Highway Materials with a base bid of $114,562.50 and a base bid plus the alternate of $146,412.50. And again, the roads, the base bid included Sterner's Road, Old State Road, Almont Road on the Lawn Avenue side. That was the three roads on the base bid. And an alternate was Holiday House Road.
Okay. Supervisors, any comments?
I have one comment, Mr. Chairman, if I may.
Yes.
I know that the Highway Materials was the lowest one. Do we have to go with the lowest? Do we have to go with the lowest bid? I'm very comfortable with the work that Bloomington Contractors produces, and I know they're about, let's see, $5,000 more, I believe, or so. looking at the numbers there. Just giving my opinion, that's all.
Yeah, I think Mary might want to weigh in on that, but generally you need to go with the low bidder if they provided all the proper information, which they did.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Unless they're on a list that PennDOT has that they're not acceptable. But it's not just a matter of whether you think there might be a problem. They have to have demonstrated the failure to complete projects in the past.
Got it.
Yeah, they are PennDOT pre-qualified, and to my knowledge, they're not on any disbarment list.
Okay,
Okay.
all right. Any other comments? Can I get a motion to approve the base and alternate bids?
I'll make that motion. Jay
And-
Kaiser.
I will second that.
Okay, all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
and David did too.
I said
Okay. Steve, back to you.
Okay, not on the agenda, but there was some emails that went back and forth, and I think Mary may bring this up too. The Kratz subdivision, if all the paperwork is in order, that's one of the plans that Chris Durstein was referring to will need to be signed in whatever fashion we do at this point. So if we're approving the agreements to be signed under Mary's report, we'll need also authorization to sign the plans.
Okay.
Otherwise, that's all I have.
Okay, Mary, should we make that motion during your part or wait? Do it now or wait?
Why don't you wait? I'll make it the first thing on my report, and then we can just tie it all in together.
Great, thank you. Okay. All right, any other questions about the engineer's report? Hearing none, can we get a motion to approve the engineer report?
So moved.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Solicitor's report?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first item under my report isn't on the agenda, but it's the Kratz matter that Steve Ballabrook brought up. It's my understanding that they have a settlement scheduled before the end of the month, and we have every reason to believe they will dot all their I's and cross all their T's within the next few days. Normally, I don't bring development agreements to you until the applicant signed them, but in this case, we've agreed to terms. They've indicated they have been signed, but they have to be transferred from North Carolina or South Carolina or wherever Mr. Kratz is right now. So what we're looking for is authorization to sign the development agreements, and that would consist of the development agreement, the stormwater management agreement, and the memorandum of development agreement.
You just got a message.
Regina, please mute your phone.
That's for you.
Mrs. Schramer, okay, there we go.
There we go.
So what we're looking for is a motion to authorize Mr. Miller to sign those agreements and authorize the board to sign the plans as soon as all of those documents are received.
Okay.
We need a motion for that, Jim?
Yeah, we need a motion for that. Yep.
I'll make that motion.
Click
Okay.
now.
Can we get a second? David?
I will second.
Okay, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Okay.
Thank you. The next item on the solicitor's report is a resolution declaring a disaster emergency. When you met in March, you adopted a resolution declaring a disaster emergency. And I guess we really didn't think it would go on this long, but the declaration is to expire this week. So this resolution declares the emergency again, making it continuous from your original resolution in March until such time as the governor lifts the statewide declaration of emergency.
I have that motion in front of me and I will sign it once we have approval. Could I get a motion? Oh, go ahead, Mary, you had more?
That's a motion to approve resolution 2020-11.
Okay, can I get a motion to approve resolution 2020-11?
So moved.
Okay, and a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 Okay, passes. Okay, Mary.
Thanks. And then the last item on the solicitor's report is the Adelphia matter. Maybe a day or two after your last meeting, FERC issued an order denying our request to rehear the matter. They granted the permit to Adelphia. We, Mr. Blasey, on your behalf, filed a petition to FERC to rehear the matter. And right after your last meeting, FERC denied that request. It was a rather long opinion. It was a considered opinion. I think they addressed every issue that we raised. I think that I don't agree with their decisions. I think the basic issue, if you'll recall, is whether the environmental assessment that Adelphia did was satisfactory, or whether they needed to do a full-blown environmental impact statement. Our argument was that it was necessary to properly vet the environmental issues, that an environmental impact statement be prepared. FERC did not agree with that and went into a great deal of detail as to why it did not agree with that. It certainly helped Adelphia's case and FERC's argument that the Couchets moved away. That did not hurt Adelphia. And without a house that close, it was easier for FERC to rationalize its decision. It also spent some time explaining why FERC felt, excuse me, I'm gonna have to sneeze. Thank you. Why FERC felt that the Salford station, or the Salford location, was not as good a location as they call it the Quakertown location, but the West, to us, it's the West Rock Hill location. Two things that were in the FERC order that I thought were positive for the township is that, one, Adelphia is required to consult with the township to develop a screening around the building to make it less or more attractive to the neighbors. And second, FERC acknowledged that there could be environmental issues, but noted that they were going to retain jurisdiction over this matter, even post-construction, to deal with any environmental issues that might come up. Staff thinks that that's significant for the township because if there are problems with noise, with emissions, or with wetlands, we will have the ability to bring that to FERC's attention. So that was the FERC order. And before you tonight, you're going to have to decide whether or not to appeal that order. And it's not something that can wait a month. The appeal period runs before your next meeting. So that's probably going to take a little bit of discussion, but unfortunately, you have to make a decision quickly in these matters.
David Collingwood here. I have a question, if I may. The fact that I'm new to the board and have been trying to get up to speed on this whole issue since well before January, a question I would have is, do we know, and maybe I have to go to the manager. Do we know how much money has been spent by the township for various fees? Would you have that information, or could you get that information?
Yeah, we approximately spent about $172,000 so far on hard costs such as lawyer fees. That does not include your soft costs such as administrative time.
So if you were to round that number into one number, where would you be? Will we be at 200,000, 300,000, 250?
I'd say 2.25 right now, approximately, if you included the soft costs.
Okay. Is that it? Oh, go ahead.
I have a second question. Mary was talking about the environmental impacts and the fact that there was an issue with, could be an issue with, well, what the issue is with screening, and I don't know if the township engineer has any feedback that he can shed some light on this for us.
Yes, Mr. Collingwood. We had provided a plan which suggested a berm, a fence, a solid fence, and landscape plantings along what was the frontage of the Couchet property, and also to the rear of the Couchet property to enhance buffering from Rich Hill Road back to the site. We presented that to Adelphia, and our last response from Adelphia is they're not in full agreement with that plan. They would like to provide alternates, or actually less screening, and potentially some alternates to that screening. So they have not agreed to the suggestions that we made for buffering.
Thank you.
Okay. Jay or David, do you have any other comments?
I have one, Mr. Chairman, if I may. We spent an awful lot of money on this. I don't know, and it seems like FERC is siding with them going forward with this thing. The Couchet's situation was our best defense, I guess, to have issues that they couldn't comply with. But by them buying their property, I'm concerned that most of our arguments are not there anymore.
Staff
one
is
thing that I am
likewise concerned.
Yes, I don't know how. If you continue to drag this out, Mary, when will a court ever hear this in the near future?
Well, that's the other thing I forgot to mention. So there's two matters. There's the state court action where we're appealing the decision to the Commonwealth Court, and that was supposed to be heard this week. But I'm just going to be very frank, in a great lack of credibility, the attorney for Adelphia petitioned the court to have the argument postponed because he had a vacation planned.
Oh.
I don't know about the rest of you, but there aren't any vacations going on in our world. But the court granted the extension, and we just got a new date. I believe it's, I knew that a minute ago. Greg, do you know that off the top of your head? Doug just told us this afternoon.
I think sometime in September. September, I don't know the exact date.
24th, it's near the end of September. So we have an oral argument in front of Commonwealth Court at the end of September that would probably take about sometimes anywhere between 3 and 12 months for the Commonwealth Court to issue a decision. So we have a good 6 to 12 months in state court, and then in federal court, the courts aren't going to hear this until they go back in session. So yeah, it'll be some time.
September 14th.
Thanks.
Okay. Can they do work while these two court sessions are waiting?
Yeah, I don't know of any reason they, which was kind of unfortunate, unless the Third Circuit grants a stay or the Commonwealth Court grants a stay, yes, they have a permit from FERC.
Okay. So,
Was that, Mr. Chairman, was that, didn't I see something about May 4th? They were allowed to start as early as May 4th. Was that?
Yeah, I think it was like May 5th. They were allowed May 4th or 5th, and they didn't. But yes, the permit allowed them to start then.
right. And when they didn't, I thought they had a reason why they didn't, Jay. So I'm not sure. Okay. Okay. All right. All right. So first of all, we need to appeal, I believe. How do you? In my opinion, we need to appeal to start with. So, Jay or David, do you have any other comment on that?
No, David here, we would have to make that decision tonight because the 16th is before.
Yes, it is.
The day before our next meeting, so we can't wait. We have to make that decision tonight.
Okay. And Jay?
Yeah, I'm concerned that how much money we're going to cost, but yes, you have to do something, I guess, before then.
You absolutely do. Mary, do you have any other comments on the appeal process?
I understand your inclination to want to appeal, but it might not be a bad time to authorize staff to entertain some settlement negotiations while we're appealing.
Okay. Well, we should at least be considering other options. But we do have to do the appeal, and we have to continue with this while the appeal process is still going on. And we have this option right now, so I would agree. David?
I would agree, and I would, if the motion is needed to make that happen, I would make that motion.
Yes, a motion is needed, so I'm not sure if the motion is to authorize Doug Blasey to file an appeal, or if it's to authorize Doug Blasey to file appeal and for staff to entertain settlement negotiations and bring an offer back to you.
Okay. In my opinion, we need to do both because we have to keep every one of our options open. But to me, the appeal process is what's very, very important now. But we can't just sit back and let the other side of this thing fall apart if the appeal doesn't work. So I would agree that we need to do both. Jay?
Yeah, I would agree as well. If David made the motion, I'll second it.
Okay, David made a motion to appeal and let the staff look at other options. And Jay is seconding it. Are there any other comments from the supervisors? Hearing none, I will put it out. All in favor? Aye.
I have a question.
Aye.
Does Greg have any comments that need to be
I have not received any email comments.
Okay, thank you. All right. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Okay. Let's continue down that path, keeping the appeal a priority. Okay, Mary, continue.
That is all I have for the solicitor's report this evening, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the solicitor's report? I'll make that motion.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Okay.
Jay, you'll second? Okay. All in favor?
Yep.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Township manager's report.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I have one item. It's the website submissions plus credit cards. Currently, since the COVID-19 happened, the township has updated its website to take building permits online and to pay for stuff for all the submissions online too. So what I'll do is, let's see, share a screen.
Sherry gonna let you share it? Is Sherry gonna let you share it?
Let's see if I can present my one screen.
There we go. Okay.
Is it the township website?
Yes, it is.
I see
All
that screen.
All right. So what you would do is you would go to how do I get a permit? And then it brings up the permits. And what you would do is download the permits that you need. They're on the right-hand side. And then you would go to, please follow this link to upload the documents.
Okay.
Now, did it go to the building permit one?
It did.
All right. And what this does is it gives you an opportunity to fill out your email address. It would go to your name, your street address, your phone number. And then what you could do is add a file, and then you can select files. And you could select your building permit and your application. Once they're filled out, you scan them in and you can upload it, and it goes right to the township.
Okay.
So that is a way that people can submit to the town 24/7 to that. Now you can go to, did it go back to the website?
It did.
Okay, then you go to how do I pay by credit card? And it gives you link for paying for building permits, zoning permits, resale, invoices, park and rec payments, stormwater management, land development, zoning hearing board, and even for our tenants that we rent. So if you wanted to pay for a building permit, you just kind of go here for an application. It redirects you to Municipay. And then you can make the selection of you want a driveway permit, a contractor's registration permit, application fee. You put in the address, you put in the application fee, and you can pay for it that way via the credit card. Now, when the township opens up, we will not be taking credit cards over the counter. We won't have it, but people could always go to the website and pay. But this is a way people can pay for building permits and apply for building permits and get it into the township much faster.
I think that's great. I think it's wonderful. We made more progress here this month.
And I really have to
Yep.
say thank you to Sherry. Sherry did a fantastic job setting up all the credit card information. It took a lot of work to do that. So she did a great job.
Thank you, Sherry. It's very impressive.
Thank you. I think it was a team effort. We all make a good team.
Yes, you do.
Job well done, Sherry. Job well done.
Absolutely.
Thanks,
Thank
Gary.
Okay. Is there anything else on your report, Greg?
That is all I have.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve the township manager's report?
I will make that motion.
And a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All right, thank you. All right, old business, James Park update. I'm sorry, James Barn update.
What's their update?
We have been kicking this around for a long time. Greg, I know you've gotten some quotes in to the barn. The barn needs some work. We need a purpose for the barn. Who wants to take the lead on discussing this?
I have some comments if I may,
Okay.
Chairman. The barn, I guess the real issue is, do we want to keep the barn or do we want to knock it down? That's the yes and no. That's the black and white. If the decision that was made back in 2015 was to preserve the barn for future generations to decide what to do with it, then $8,000 plus was spent back in the end of 2015 to support the summer beam in the basement, to put a laminated beam across the front, to put steel siding on it, put new windows in it, and all that work has been done and done very well by Scott Rittenhouse. The quality of that work is just outstanding. What didn't get done was the gable ends never gotten taken care of, and the roof also has continued to deteriorate. It's a slate roof that is not worth replacing with slate. The contractors have all indicated that the right thing to do is to completely replace the roof, not do a Band-Aid patch repair. So we have three contractors that have given us quotes. The one from Lancaster County, they did the work over on at Silverdale, the place across from the John Deere place that has Bolton's Chickens Farms. They did that entire building. I know them to be very reputable. We also have a Tim Schaefer initial quote that was on like $9,300, but that was just that was not comparing apples and apples. Now we've gone back to Tim Schaefer, and he's given us a apple-to-apple comparison estimate that the people from Lancaster and Tim Schaefer, they're pretty much the same quote for the same work, for the same materials, and almost the same price. So that's kind of the history of, that's where we are now. I think we need to make a decision to fix the barn roof and fix it right. If we don't, we lose the entire building and the $8,000 already invested. My thoughts.
Okay, who is, in your opinion, and you know a lot about barns, who is best qualified to do the work and make it more original, more to the original than anyone else?
Well, I think that Tim Schaefer and I'll call them the Lancaster builders, their quotes are pretty much identical when we went back to Tim Schaefer. I know that Tim Schaefer does a lot of residential roofing. My personal opinion is that the people from Lancaster, that's all they do. They bring in all the equipment they need. They rip it apart. They take everything away. They do quality work. As I say, Bolton's chicken thing, what they've done in the area, they work up and down the East Coast. In my mind, they're the right people to go with if we choose to fix the barn roof and do it right. Okay. I think if we took the Tim Schaefer low $9,000 quote, I think we're not doing the right job. We're doing a patch job.
Okay. So let me ask one other question then.
And I would like to hear what both you and Jay have, what your thoughts are as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I have been quite impressed over the last few months with what the Historical Society has completed already on the James House, which is right next to the barn. The new windows, the basement corrections, and they've done a lot. I know they're looking at putting in a dehumidification system.
Right.
And I'm not sure what else they've done. Do you know what else they've done?
They have in-kind work that's being done to put fencing across the front and also to have the foyer completely re-slated at no cost.
Okay, good.
That includes time and material, everything.
If we decide to go with one of these quotes and have the barn done, I mean, to me, this always has been a kind of a package deal, in my opinion.
Well, I think, I mean, we're all three of us are members of the Historical Society, but I think formally we need to go back to the Historical Society, to the executive committee or whoever it is, and ask them. I mean, in the last 5 years, the barn and the house were supposed to have been, or at least that was the initial offer, was supposed to be, as you say, a package deal. So why not have that discussion?
I mean, those two buildings together and the land around them could be quite a showcase for West Rock Hill, if that becomes the purpose of a renovation for the barn.
I agree, and I think that the fact that the house sat empty for 9 years, the Historical Society in 6 months has done more than the township did in 9 years just for the house. And I think the needle's pointing up.
Yeah.
For that house and for the park, and I think it would make sense if it was a package deal, if they would be so inclined. I can't speak for them. We would have to go to them.
Okay. Okay, Jay, I've had all my say, so it's your turn.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think you guys know the history here. David, you were part of the historical society that did not make a decision for over 6 years, and Jim, you'll attest to this. We put offers on the table, and it finally happened. It finally happened to take the house. The barn, we have a registered letter from an expert engineer that the barn should have been torn down. We spent money, and I voted to spend the money to save the barn so that it could be fixed up. And I promoted and helped set up a meeting so that the Historical Society, or I should say, not the Historical Society, there were members from the Historical Society. It was called Save the Barn Committee, to raise money to repair that barn, to rebuild that barn. And that fell apart and never happened. And actually, you had $5,000, David, that you gave back, that you could have used for seed money to raise money for that barn. Because without a use for the barn, the taxpayers should not have to pay to fix up something that you have no use for. And therefore, that's why we're at this point where we're at right now. I supported fixing the barn up. And I was actually told by a member of that Save the Barn Committee that if all we're going to do is fix the barn up, it's a waste of my time. I don't need to mention the name here right now. So I'm all for fixing the barn. However, someone needs to come up with a way to raise the funds. The taxpayers did not have to support paying to fix that barn with taxpayer money. We have other things that we're being asked for money all the time and we don't do. The Park and Rec sometimes suffers and can't get things done because we don't have the money. So until we come up with a plan of what the barn is going to be used for and someone decides on how you're going to get the money, we're still where we were, Mr. Miller, 6 years ago or 7 years ago. Please tell me I'm wrong.
I have, David Collingwood, I have one comment here. You are correct, Jay. There was $5,000 given as seed money to work on the barn. The reason it never progressed any further is because the Save the Barn Committee, which was made up of one person from the Historical Society, one person from Park and Rec, and one person from the Conservation Committee. The reason that didn't move forward is because the group did not have the support of the Board of Supervisors. That's why the money was given back.
Okay.
On the record.
Let's continue talking about this for a couple more minutes. Jay, I'm trying to get over the past and just say that for this year, I've seen a lot of improvements since the Historical Society has taken over. I would like to know if the Historical Society, like I said, I feel that if we're going to keep it, it should be a package deal. So I would like to know if the Historical Society is willing to take on that challenge as well and work with us to do that. Now, as far as the money goes, I agree. I think we need a purpose, and if the purpose is that the Historical Society wants to make that part of the ground plan over there for their property, our property, but the property that is leased to them, then we should consider that moving forward. So, in my opinion, we need a purpose, and then we can make a decision on the money.
So, Mr. Chairman, I think I hear you saying that if the board approached the Historical Society and an agreement was reached, then the board may consider fixing the barn roof correctly.
I think if it gets fixed, I want it fixed correctly, for sure. I don't want anybody doing it who doesn't know 100% about how to fix up the barn so that it continues to stay as a historical building.
At whose expense, Mr. Miller?
Well, that's
at whose expense. I thought I just heard him say. I thought I just heard Mr. Collingwood say the township's expense. Did I misunderstand that?
I think he said after we find out the purpose of the barn, then we'll decide if the township wants to fund it.
Exactly.
But at this point, I agree, Jay, we don't have a purpose for this barn. I do agree with that.
Right.
And I'm not willing to make any decision either way unless we know that we have a purpose for it. And if it was to become part of a bigger plan there for the Historical Society and the park all combined together, I think that's a really good thing. I'd also like to go to the county and look for funding because they do have stuff available for fixing historical buildings. So I would do that too. That's my opinion.
So it looks as if we're going to have to approach the Historical Society and table this at least for another month before we make a final decision. I think that's what I'm hearing.
I would prefer to do that only because I want to hear from the Historical Society on what their plan is now that they've got their teeth dug into the house. I'd like to know how they feel about the barn and if they're willing to do something. So
that's fine.
In my opinion, I mean, I will meet with them. Any one of us can meet with them, but I'm willing to meet with them and see what their plans are.
All right. I would like you to do that.
And Jay, what's your opinion on that?
You may proceed forward with, from my perspective, with a discussion, and
Okay.
then we will discuss it. We will discuss it again further.
Okay, great. Thank you. All right. So Greg, we are going to table this for right now only because I want to get some kind of clear understanding from the Historical Society on what their position is. All right. Okay. Is there any other old business? Is there any new business? Oh, go ahead, Jay.
I was going to say I have none.
Okay. I have some new business. We're quickly coming up to our election. I'd like to make a couple points. I've been sitting in on just about every meeting by the county commissioners and the Board of Elections. I know how difficult this election is going to be. We have all new machines. We have people that are going to be confused by the machines. They are so different than what we did before as far as filling out the ballots. I would encourage people to do a write-in ballot if you can, because there will be lines. Additionally, the Board of Elections has stated that everyone must wear a mask when they vote. And if someone is determined to not wear a mask, then the entire building will have to be cleared while that one person goes in to vote. And if that happens, I can guarantee you the lines are going to get longer and longer and longer. The county commissioners have said they will supply masks. If someone forgets their mask, they will have some at the site. And everyone that works there has to have a mask, and that the equipment gets cleaned between every person that's coming in to vote. I also know from the meetings that the Board of Elections is short-staffed for people to actually work the polls. They are asking people to come out and work the polls, and they are paying them to do that. As of right now, I know of maybe 2 people that are going to work in the township building on election day, because all of the regulars have said they won't work because they feel it's detrimental to their health, because they are all senior citizens, and that's the worst case to be with the COVID virus. So they are trying to find people to come in and work it. And that means these people are going to be coming in and working new equipment, and all the people that were supposed to work have been trained, but the new people haven't yet. That is at the township building. I know that there's a couple people that are not working down at Argus, so they're looking for people to work there also. The county's been talking about trying to bring in the National Guard to help. I think for everyone's sake, if you're going to vote at one of the township building or the at Orgus, if you're going to do it, come with the idea that you may have to wait a while in line, because all the rules for social distancing and everything else have to be applied to. So I'm just letting everybody know what's going to happen. Personally, I already voted, so I'm glad it's out of the way. Other than that, we hope everybody does vote. It's your right to vote, and we want to make sure everybody has the opportunity to vote. So that's all I have for new business. Does anybody else have any new business?
Can I ask you a question, Mr.? Okay,
Sure.
sorry. Go ahead, David.
Okay, Jay. You're up.
I just wanted to ask you, Mr. Chairman, you know, in society today, out on job sites and working in the real world, they have someone set up to take people's temperature when they come onto a site.
Yeah.
Was there any talk about that from the county to do that? Because if they take someone's temperature, they pretty much know whether or not they are green or red, you know, whether they should be allowed on.
Yeah, and I don't know if they're doing that or not, Jay. They're actually combining a lot of polling places right now. So I know that they're really tied up trying to figure out where everybody's going to vote. In some of the bigger municipalities down in the southern part of the county, they're looking for schools and churches and stuff where they can bring people together. And I don't know that they've actually said whether they were going to have somebody at the door to take temperatures. I can't answer that. Sorry.
Okay. Just one thing to follow up on that there. I had heard that the county wanted to reopen, Bucks County. And I don't know if you were aware or with the meeting that they were supposed to have with the governor, that when they'd be allowed to reopen. Has anybody heard anything regarding to that?
The governor told them, the governor told them no, that they're going to follow his plan. And what they were trying to do was say, hey, look at Bucks County. You know, the upper part is way different than the lower part. And if you look at the colors, the upper part is fairly light colored as far as how many people have the virus, and the southern part is like bright red. Now, he said that the county has to stay all together and do it, you know, as one county. So I think they are looking at ways to open some more stuff up. But the meeting today was like 9 minutes long, so they didn't discuss too much. But if I hear anything, Jay, I will definitely let people know.
Okay, thanks.
And if anyone wants to join them, if you go on Facebook and look up Bucks County Commissioners, they do have a Facebook page, and you can set your alert that every time they have a meeting, it'll send you a notice, and everyone's allowed to join. There's like anywhere from 50 to 150 to 200 people in some of these calls. So I've learned a lot more about the county than I knew before. Okay. Any other new business?
I have a question, and then I have two issues. Did we approve the township manager's report?
I thought we did.
I thought I made the motion.
Okay.
I thought, yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Stand corrected. Okay. New business. I brought this up before at a township meeting and also at the police commission meeting. I don't know if the chief is still here and Steve is here and Mary are still with us. But the question I have is the stop sign across from the Peak excavating business there at Clymer and Quarry Road. As you approach that stop sign, is it possible to have that sign also to say accept right turn? Because so many people are going up Quarry Road, they just make the right turn.
It used to say that, Mr. Collingwood. It used to, I don't remember when it changed, but it used to say stop except right turn. There was an arrow there. And I don't know when that changed.
It wasn't approved, or it was approved?
There was not an ordinance in place, so I removed it because there was no ordinance in place for that stop sign to be that way.
So
as an ordinance.
If the board agreed, would it be possible to do whatever needs to be done to have an ordinance and get that done? I mean,
I can put it in the
what has to happen?
codification.
Pardon?
We're working on the codification now, and we're memorializing all stop signs. So we can add that to the codification, Greg.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
And that's you keep moving, a right turn, no stop on the right turn at where Cat Hill comes into Quarry or to Clymer.
It's Quarry and Clymer. And that's correct. Stop except right turn, right turn.
Correct.
Got it.
I mean, that's the way it is here on Barnt Road, where you're coming in off a county line, and when you get to the intersection of Gold Mine and Barnt, it's a stop sign, except for the people going right on the Barnt Road, they can just keep going.
Right.
And that's just, because I think at that Clymer and Quarry Road, most people just run that stop sign anyway, so. And the second issue is, and I brought this up before, is the stop sign on Gold Mine at the bottom. It is definitely not working. I know we put the speed lines in up the road so the speed could be clocked, but I've almost been hit twice in the last month. People are coming down Gold Mine and they just stop except right turn. They just keep going. I don't know what can be done, whether I see in the township, and I know some people aren't a fan of a lot more signs, but a pre-stop sign with an arrow pointing at that they're coming up to a stop sign, or possibly also a white line at that stop sign, because people just roll right through that all the time.
May I make a suggestion?
Certainly, I'd like to hear from everyone.
Oh, okay, I would suggest maybe if they don't have it there, one of those signs that says "Stop Ahead."
With an
I
arrow.
see them often.
Right.
Yeah, I see them often places where there's a steep hill like that where you really can't see. You know, people go. I mean, I'm pretty sure most of these people going through there are people that are using that road every day, but that may help you. It may help in some way.
I agree with you, Jay.
Thank you, because there is one of those pre-stop signs at Clymer and Quarry Road, but there isn't one on the Gold Mine stop sign. I don't know what it takes, whether it's the engineer or whether it's council or whether it's chief or all three or the board, how we make do one of those signs on Gold Mine Road.
If the board says they want a sign up there, just that'd be fine.
Well, I would like to see one.
Yeah, this is Steve. The stop ahead signs, they don't necessarily need an ordinance per se. Just follow the PennDOT guidelines for their location. You could also put a double stop sign, one on either side of the street. That helps for visibility sometimes. But again, as you mentioned, if it's locals that know it's a stop and go through it anyway, it doesn't matter how many signs you'll put up.
What are your thoughts about a white line across the road at the stop sign?
Again, that's another visual enhancement.
I like it visual.
Yeah, some townships put stop bars everywhere. We typically have not done that in West Rock Hill, but there's probably some locations where it would be appropriate.
Yes.
Yeah, I can tell you the ones PennDOT put up in West Rock Hill are very obvious.
Yeah.
So are we in agreement then with doing that to that stop sign in Gold Mine, putting a pre-stop and possibly a white line?
Are you making that a motion?
This is
I'll
the
make
chief.
that
I
motion.
think that'd be a good idea.
Chief,
I think that would be a good idea with the sign and then the line there. At least it's more visual for people coming down the hill to see that.
Okay. And David, you made a motion.
yes.
Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor? Aye.
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 Is there any other new business?
I have none.
Okay. Public comment. Greg will now take charge of getting people lined up here. Let me state that you have 2.5 minutes to talk. People will be put back onto mute after that.
I do have 3 emails, public comments.
Okay.
Okay, the first one is from Ebby Shermer from 1805 Ridge Road. Good evening, Jim, Jay, and David. This is Elizabeth Shermer, written to reflect my concerns regarding the Penridge Community Center, aka Penridge Senior Center, located in Silverdale. Gentlemen, please consider making your annual contribution to the Penridge Senior Center in a timely manner, as we have been unable to hold any functions over the last 3 months, and therefore have no income and only expenses. As you are probably aware, in the prior fiscal year, the community center suffered a flood and water damage, which closed the center for roughly 3 months, which resulted in the loss of 1/4 of the yearly expected income, which we need to serve members of the Penridge community. Thank you in advance for your generosity. Respectfully submit, Ebby Sherman.
Greg, we had money in the budget for that this year?
No, the board always looks at it at the end of the year and sees what the profit is going to be and then makes that
Okay.
information. So no, that is not a budgeted item, but it's something that you do almost every year.
Yeah. I'm all in favor.
Can I ask something, Jim?
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. Greg, where are we down in revenue this year yet, or are we up, or what? Where are we at?
We are doing well this year. I'm concerned about next year with the falling tax revenues, but currently this year we are doing fine.
Okay.
I have a question, David Collingwood. What is the board's annual contribution to the community center, or what has it been historically?
It has been historically $2,500.
Okay. I would like to make a motion that we give them their $2,500 now, because of the fact that they desperately need money, and that's a very valuable asset to our community.
I would second that.
Okay.
No,
Go ahead, Dave.
you can make a comment.
Yeah, I'll make a comment. I would not give 2,500. I would give 1,500. I would be willing to give $1,500. Is what we gave last year, which is the same amount that Hilltown gives, and Hilltown's a lot larger. I would rather see us use the money towards our own park as opposed to giving it outside. We have issues. We're going to have issues in our township as well. But of course, you've had a second already, so I understand that it's going to pass anyway. I just wanted to give you my opinion.
Greg, you want to say something, Greg?
Sure.
I'd like to say that giving to the community center is like giving to our township, because it is part of our township. Our citizens go there, belong there. It's a community center. It's Penridge, so it's us. Same as.
Yeah. Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Hearing none, passes. Okay. Next, Greg.
Okay, the second one. This is from Regina Schremeyer. Greg, I believe I heard Sterner's Road is up for paving, which is great. One question: does the paving include rebuilding and reinforcing the edges of the road that are eroding and potholed by traffic riding the edge of the road? Right now, there are a number of areas where the road is narrow to one lane, potholes along the edges. Thank you.
Are we ready for Steve? Or
I was just going to ask you if you wanted me to comment on that.
Can I ask, before you do that, Steve? Can I ask something? Is this public comment or is this questions?
It's public comment. It's an email that I received.
okay, that's a good point, Jay. We'll take that off. We'll take that offline, and we'll get an answer for Regina. Great. Thank you, Jay. That's a good point.
Yep.
Okay. All right.
The next public comment is from Tony Bogner. Can you or Mary clarify statements of negotiations?
For
What
the,
does that mean? With regard to what matter?
That is the email that I received.
okay, well, we'll need a better explanation on that. So if Tony would like to resubmit another question, we could give it to him in writing.
Am I able to ask it now, or you want me in writing?
We're gonna let other
This is public comment, Mr. Miller.
Yeah. You can make a comment, Tony.
Oh,
It's part of you.
Well, the comment was that specifically Mary said about settlement negotiations, and I was just wondering if I could get a clarification of that. And I understand it's public comment, so
Okay.
but she doesn't have to answer. That's why she made a statement about that, and I wanted to get some clarification. That's all. And I couldn't get in quick enough when
That's
it went to go to her report. That's all.
Oh,
right,
so
thank
he's
you.
talking about Adelphia. I just really couldn't address that
No.
publicly at this point.
Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Next.
Next is Cliff Cole. Greg, how do we make public comments?
I can make my own public comment. I'll be happy to.
Go ahead.
So why do we have to only defer to FERC here? Adelphia needs DEP approval also. That is under appeal and not only by the township. Not to mention the Army Corps of Engineers approval is required. So why are we just giving in just because FERC has approved this? There's plenty of room to fight. And to David and Jay, I say, what's the cost to the present and future generations if we don't fight this? If this compressor happens, this happens under your watch. And is this the legacy you plan to leave for your children, grandchildren, and anybody else? And how does this compressor site fit into the Conservation Committee's plans? Conservation means conserving natural resources. So I don't get the opposition to fighting this. And what about all the other neighbors near the compressor and the rest of the township? Why does only one family that was closest to the compressor site that sold out matter to you? This is a major pollution source that will foul the air for many people. This compressor also is going to be very noisy. Noise pollution lowers the quality of life. And then I also mirror Tony's sentiments. What does settlement really mean? That bothers me. What does that really mean to this board? I think you need to answer that. And I'd just like to point out that you spent more time arguing about a leaky roof on a barn than you did on a major pollution source that will affect the lives of many in our small township. And, I didn't move to West Rock Hill Township because I wanted to live in Oklahoma. I live here because it's a beautiful place and I'm right near a game lands. And this compressor is right next to the game lands, right next to the Butter Creek water shed. So let's keep fighting.
Thank you, Cliff.
That is all the public comment that I had via email.
Okay. Is there any other public comment? Hearing none. Can I get a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Got a second?
I will second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 All right. Thank you all for attending. We will have more information later, of course. Thank you. Oh, Greg,
Yes,
you'll be sending us
I'll send you out a new invite for executive session.
okay, thank you.